Now, ever since the sequel trilogy came to an end back in 2019 with The Rise of Skywalker, a lot of Star Wars fans have remained really questioning themselves. A lot of mysterious things that were never answered by Lucasfilm directly in the canon, or even by J.J. Abrams. A great example is exactly what in the world happened to Ben Solo after he vanished, and that was all left up in the air and left very ambiguous. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, that brings us to why Lucasfilm did that. Believe it or not, J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy had an agreement to leave Ben Solo's demise a mystery because, believe it or not, JJ wanted Ben Solo to survive. He never wanted to kill him off because he wanted to leave things a little bit open-ended and wanted to really give the fans hope for the last Skywalker, quote-unquote. But Kathleen Kennedy wanted all the Skywalkers to be finished off. They had creative differences on that, so they settled on one thing. Let's make it like Ben Solo dies, but let's not specifically say exactly how he perishes or where he actually goes to. Now that brings us to what John and Dave are doing. Now they're doing something very special for Ben Solo in an upcoming Rise of Skywalker sequel series, as well as for the character of Rey, and we'll be talking about this in great depth in this post. Now we know that Daisy Ridley has been heading over to Lucasfilm numerous times. She's even been teasing this on her Instagram story here and there, and really kind of just teasing things left and right about her future with the franchise. You know, even when she was questioned directly if she's going to be involved in anything soon, she kind of like laughs it off and smiles and just doesn't answer. So that's another telltale right there. Now the thing about this is that there is a big thing brewing behind closed doors over at Lucasfilm with Favreau and Filoni beginning to explore different eras to show fans in live-action form on Disney+. They are preparing to do something substantial for the franchise that will change some of the existing sequel trilogy characters. Now further, it's noted that one big project that they are developing is a Rise of Skywalker sequel series that is set to take place 15 years after the events of Episode 9. Both John and Dave have already hired actors Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley to return to their proper roles of Rey and Ben Solo, and that they have had something very special planned for Ben Solo's future in the Star Wars universe that will be very unexpected to the audience. So let me stop right here for a second before we get on to the even more exciting stuff. They're going to be doing something very special for the character of Ben Solo. What that really is, we're not quite sure just yet. We do know that they are going to be meddling with the World Between Worlds in the Ahsoka series, and also in this upcoming post-Episode 9 series. And it's very likely that it has something to do with that. We already know that on Exegol, beneath the surface, there lies a thing called the Vergence of the Force. And the Vergence of the Force is actually teased to have connections to the WBW. And what happened to Ben Solo? Well, he fell into the pit underneath the surface of Exegol. And that's a telltale. We already know that storyboards are already created by John and Dave, in which they are going to be making a canon in upcoming books, that when Ben Solo fell into the pit, he actually witnessed a time differential where his time down there flew by in minutes, but up on the surface of Exegol, time actually, really kind of moved forward, or vice versa. Something around those lines, where there's a time differential. Now, the thing about this, too, is that the overall structure is that they want to focus on the lives of Rey and Ben Solo, as well as other characters, like new characters, that are going to take on the Jedi mantle, so to speak, the overall Jedi Order, and really kind of carrying that all out. Basically, what Disney wants to do is they want to show fans the new Jedi Order after the events of the sequel trilogy movies, at least in one big limited series. And we're going to be diving into the specifics about this right now, about what exactly they are going to do to make this happen, and exactly where it's all leading. Now, we already know that John and Dave are going to have George involved. They're going to have other creators involved, such as Peyton Reed, on this project, and it is still a far ways out. There's no doubt about that. They're not going to be planning to get this out by 2026 until then. So we got quite a number of years to go. However, of course, Favreau and Filoni are on a course of reinventing Rey by providing fans a completely different version of the character, both in spirit and design-wise, to offer something fresh to the sequel trilogy critics. They are aiming to make this a very high-budget, limited series that will feel and look like a movie and will be considered a proper continuation of the Episode 9 story with new conflicts and new secrets that will emerge for the fans. Adam and Daisy have already met up with John and Dave several times at Lucasfilm for this big project that they want to release sometime, like I said before, in 26 on Disney Plus and get production going by next year in 2024 for the fans to see. Now, those like Mark Hamill are also set to return in a big way as well. That's going to leave fans surprised of what they will do with Luke Skywalker in this project. So if you guys have not been following, or we talked about this, of what they have planned for Luke in new upcoming Star Wars material, is that they are planning to reverse Luke Skywalker's death on a temporary scale, where Luke is going to come back for a purpose, using the power of the wills, these godlike beings that allow Luke to come back as flesh and blood, and to help aid some of the new characters' help. Now, that's an original idea that was created by George Lucas for Return of the Jedi's initial script, in which Kenobi was going to come back as flesh and blood on the Endor celebration scene, but that got cut almost immediately until he finalized the script. So this is actually an idea that John and Dave are taking from George Lucas's old script of Return of the Jedi that almost made it to the actual final cut, believe it or not. So there's a lot of things happening with future projects, and how John and Dave are going to go about doing this and where it's really all going to lead all depends on what the fans are, going to really react to when it comes to Mandalorian, when it comes to the Ahsoka series. They need those shows to succeed to really create a lot of momentum. And if you have that momentum, everything is just going to be a breeze, because then you gain the fans' trust, and then you get the fans excited for more. That's what you have to do. So they're relying on these two shows this year to kickstart their new Star Wars franchise or universe, whatever have you. I like to call it the Favloni universe. And in this Favloni universe, they already have 12 projects in the making. A mixture of live action and animated projects, just for this year alone, on what they are working on simultaneously. That's a lot of stuff. So the only thing that some fans may find to be very skeptical is whether or not this is going to oversaturate things or not. As long as it's quality made, I think it's going to be perfectly fine. That's just my 2 cents. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in on what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.